My name is Kwabena Chenche. Many thanks for joining us here on News Today to have our first story this hour. And the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the Health Services Workers Union has been arrested for embezzling more than 92,000 Ghana cedis in union dues, welfare, and development funds. And as Bodu Boateng was arrested yesterday following a formal complaint filed by the current executives of the Konfanoti Teaching Hospital branch with the Sofoline Police in Kumasi. Rastus Asaridonko is joining me on phone now from the Ashanti region with a lot more on this story that we're just getting. So, Erastus, good afternoon. Many thanks for your time. Can you tell us a lot more about this very story?
Well, let me break it down to you. I intercepted this report of the National Executive Council of the Health Workers Union yesterday, and the details is a lengthy document, in fact, more than 20 pages long, but let me summarize it.
Okay.
It was found that 92,357.67 Ghana cedis were misappropriated and embezzled by Ernest Bedu Boateng between 19th September 2012 and 8th January 2016. It was also found that the breakdown of this figure is that a total of 14,150 Ghana cedis was, according to the report, intentionally inserted in the union's record book to inflate expenditure patterns. It says in most cases it was found that correction fluid was used to erase the original figures. It also says that Ernest Bedu Boateng also received total sum of 3,550 Ghana cedis as quarterly allowances, transport allowances, Christmas and Easter bonuses, and ex gratia. An amount of 74,702.67 were schemed by Ernest after withdrawals from a secret account with Unibank Swami branch for his personal use. It goes on to say that he and one Samuel Mensah, and now we know that Samuel Mensah is the current regional industrial relations officer with the Volta region. He was previously holding that position in Ashanti region, and together with him, they have admitted they operated a secret account, and the number of that secret account is mentioned here with the Unibank Swami branch. It's the account number 14001143671119 at the Unibank Swami, together with one Inti Ofuriata of the Tafo Government Hospital. They opened this account, and the report says they schemed monies being contributions from Konfanoti Teaching Hospital internally generated fund staff for the period between 2011 to May 2012. They received, deposited, and cashed out some monies in that direction. Now, it goes on to say that Bedu Boateng admitted giving Samuel Mensah monthly stipends of 19,800 cedis between July 2012 and October 2015 to facilitate their nefarious deal. And it was found that Bedu Boateng, with the assistance of Samuel Mensah and Intiofori of Tafo Government Hospital, did this, opened this account, and through that, they've been able to do that. Now, let me end by going into other findings that they made.
Indeed.
And they are saying that national dues misappropriated by other branch executives of the Konfanoti Teaching Hospital branch of the Health Workers Union, they found out, and these are the figures. One, the former executive members misappropriated these amounts. Abraham Nana Safo, who was the chairman, embezzled 3,910 Ghana cedis. Christiana Aqua Harrison, vice chairman, 7,550. Godwill Jipunu, first trustee, 2,895. Martin Danso, assistant secretary, 3,150. Juliana Boache, NEC member, 3,400. Felicia Enin, women's committee, 2,850. Esther Kobia, women's committee, 2,750. One Comfort Kakari, 1,600. And Bedu Boateng, who was a branch secretary at the time, also embezzled 3,550. So these are figures that are entailed in the
I see.
the findings.
And as things stand now, just one person has been arrested. I'm speaking of Bedu Boating. He's the only one who has been arrested. Do we know the whereabouts of these others who were cited for also corruption in this very report?
Exactly. Bedu Boating is the one who has been arrested at the moment.
Okay.
But the report also mentions Samuel Mensah, who is the industrial relations officer for the Volta region currently. He's been asked to step aside. He's been expelled from the Health Service Workers Union, and I don't know what has happened to him at the moment, but the only arrest made at the moment is that of the Ashanti Regional Chairman.
Okay. Erastus, many thanks for that update, and that was Erastus Asari Donko joining us from the Ashanti region with details of that very incident that pertains to a bit of corruption at the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital. He's been bringing us details of that. We'll be bringing a lot more on that particular story in subsequent bulletins here on Joy News. But away from that now, and 109 people have died as a result of road accidents in the Bono-Ahafo region within the first quarter of this year alone, with 28 pedestrian deaths. That's according to the statistics being provided by the National Road Safety Commission and the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority. Now, the situation has been described as alarming, forcing officials to institute measures to reduce the number of road accidents. Precious Semevo has more and is joining me now on phone with those details. So, Precious, tell us a lot more what these interventions are. These interventions that seek to curb the many road accidents on our roads.
Well, the interventions that the authorities are hoping to use and enforce is, educating drivers and their car owners to ensure that they always keep their cars in good condition before using them on the road, and particularly also on the drivers to refrain from, taking in alcoholic beverages before, driving and while driving. These are key areas that the authorities, the Road Safety Commission, as well as the DVLA, are hoping to use, and that is what necessitated this morning's pedestrian safety campaign walk in Sunyane. And they are also targeting pedestrians because if you look at the statistics that they are giving, 28 pedestrians died out of within the first quarter of 2016, and they are targeting the pedestrians and also the drivers to ensure that they provide room for pedestrians and also observe all the road safety signs that will ensure that the pedestrians are well protected. And also the pedestrians themselves are also to observe all the road safety signs and ensure that drivers particularly make provisions for them before they cross the road. Now, providing this statistic, the regional board for the DVLA said that out of a total of 140 cases that was reported within the first quarter, that they had involving 196 vehicles, they reported 109, persons dying out of this, with 216 of them getting injured. And they believe that the situation is alarming, and all stakeholders will have to come on board to ensure that the number is reduced to the fairest minimum. And they believe that drivers, pedestrians, their car owners, and the police officers on the road should play their role very well to ensure that the number is reduced to the fairest minimum.
Okay. Precious, many thanks for that update. And that was Precious Semevo joining us with details of those statistics from the Bono-Ahafo region. To some other issues still relating to security and the likes. And the Accra Regional Police Command has tightened security at the Ridge branch of the First Atlantic Bank following a shooting incident which saw a customer injured and an exchange of fire between armed robbers and the police. The incident, which happened Tuesday evening, involved two customers of the bank who were robbed at gunpoint after withdrawing cash. The police officers close by intervened and shot one of the armed robbers, and the funds were retrieved. Joining us, Emmanuel Lante has visited the bank and retracing the steps to this horrific story. Here is his report.
We are at the national headquarters of First Atlantic Bank, where yesterday there was a robbery attempt, but fortunately the robbers were not able to make away with the goodies. Now, the information I gather here indicate that two customers from First Atlantic Bank yesterday came here to do transaction. Upon coming out of the bank premises, two guys on motorbike attempted to rob them of whatever they came to do here. but fortunately for them, the police came out in their numbers from all the angles and stopped the robbery attempt. Now, I am told that one of the robbers absconded with a gunshot wound. The other is in the grips of the police and is receiving treatment at the police hospital. One of the customers was also shot by the robbers in the thigh, and I'm told he's currently also receiving treatment at the hospital and is doing well. Now, let's go in and try to speak to people around here to find out how they feel a day after the incident. What do you feel about what really happened yesterday?
Well, I feel very scared because as a student, we ply this road often, and sometimes we are actually writing exams. So we finish our exams a bit late sometimes. So let's say 7 or 8 there. So sometimes I walk alone. So having heard of this robbery case, walking alone after exams around 8, I don't know, I'll be so scared. Having heard they've even shot someone. They have guns, so I don't think it's a good idea.
Would you use this route again?
Unless I'm in group. Like, I don't think I'll walk here alone.
All right, so I'm here with one of the eyewitnesses who will tell us what his account of what really happened yesterday. Mpacho, then is here now.
Oh, the way I say, I was in the Wokoyi Scaffery Bank or our DP. To motor the pack almost bear 1 hour. 1 hour in the middle of Hasi, send a mope, a scanner, the agent to the free inside all the banana. We knew nobody person or shoot too. Do get a scanner and all J bargain. But I said it's the same way do no moon to me and Franco. To a quarter number to no zono. And I lock you no police for me free down home could take home free down whatever. Thomas, we now about some one issue to no police who say, Columbia, air cost was see. The one a police wants to start here so much to Alobano. Did the motor know at what will drive motor in the Okoye, but you know, teaching you could tell me a 20 there. Almost shoot to know Asia. And Banyas and get to a crumble Asia.
Now, what he's trying to say is that yesterday they were here, 2 guys on a motorbike parked here for over an hour. And when a customer of First Atlantic Bank came out, they just attacked the person with a bag. They were also on a motorbike. They shot the driver who was holding the money, the rider of the motorbike who was holding the money. They shot him in the thigh, but he didn't die. And then they gave a warning shot. Fortunately, there was a police patrol car coming through, and the police also realized that there was a robbery or an incident going on, and so they also helped, and they also shot at the robbers, and that was what solved the situation here yesterday. Other than that, it would have been something different. Mipacho, inti say ene adiachi wabaha. Then how do you feel? Then we feel this.
Oh, maybe I've been slow here because we have been so much man. Madina Babeton to me. Said I've been slow here. If I did, Babeman Babe.
So say, "Bia, ombe baba atakumu so amuye juma wahanum."
Oh, maybe I've been slow here. Or I found sir.
Now he's not afraid of anything. He says he's doing his business and he will continue to do his business here. He's not afraid of any armed robber whatsoever. Let's go to another person who was also here to speak to the incident. Well, as you can see they are both shying away from the camera. Well, we have tried to get an official response from the officials of First Atlantic Bank, but they have declined to speak on camera. But what they have done is they have expressed their gratitude to the Ghana Police Service for reacting swiftly to their call. Emmanuel Ante.
And that was Emmanuel Ante with that very interesting report there. We're taking a break here on News Today. We'll return shortly with a lot more stories. Don't go away. Many thanks for staying with us here on News Today. To some more stories now, and let's turn our attention to Parliament, where we are told that a consideration of the Right to Information Bill is currently underway. The challenge, however, is that the House is divided on what constitutes right to information. Now, the House is to consider thousands of amendments to the bill, but the commencement of the process has generated a heated debate in Parliament. Clause 1 of the RTI bill, which deals with access to information, is the cause of the debate on the floor of the House. Elton Bobe is joining me now on phone with a lot more. So, Elton, tell us a lot more about this seeming disagreement in the House.
Well, Chanjahine, the they are so yet to move beyond clause 1. And this has to do more with the right to information bill. You're very much aware that the Constitution in Article 21 guarantees the right to information. And what this bill, before Parliament, is seeking to do is to give substance to that constitutional provision by providing for access to official information held by government agencies and the qualifications and conditions under which the access should be obtained. Now, before they went on recess in March, they couldn't go over clause 1, and clause 1 has to do more with the provision for access to official information held by government agencies, except for information specified as legitimate information. And today, as I speak to you right now, they are still debating on what constitutes information and at what instance can that information be given out. Now, in the same memorandum, especially clause 23, it talks about the agency of the information and under which circumstances the information officer can act on application for an information. The clause is saying that once a person makes an application for information, within 14 days, an information officer must communicate back to the person as to when that information can be delivered. Now, if you are applying for information and you want to be done under a certificate of agency, the provision of that information will be at the discretion of the information officer. Some members of parliament are of the view that it may be a subject of abuse because the information officer may use his own discretion and for weeks and months may hide behind the agency and say that that person, and say that he or she may not be ready to divulge such information. And that has stalled debate on the issue. So even though the speaker has put the question for the adoption of clause 1, some members have made it clear that they will file a motion for a second consideration of that particular clause. Second consideration simply means that they will file a motion to bring back the debate for more clarity to be done on that clause 1. So as we speak right now, as to what constitutes an agency and whether under a certificate of agency, the applicant will have to pay some amount of money before that information can be given out in what has stalled the consideration of the bill so far.
That's a pretty interesting development there. Elton Bobby, many thanks for that update. And that was parliamentary correspondent Elton Bobby bringing us a lot more updates on the RTI bill, which is currently under consideration in the August House. We'll be bringing you a lot more on that on our news and news analysis program, The Pulse, which airs at 3 p.m. on this channel. Now, local governance expert George Bafo is calling for the immediate implementation of proposals by the Constitutional Review Committee in order to ensure proper decentralization as far as the country's governance system is concerned. Speaking on how the failure of the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly to elect a presiding member is likely to affect the Assembly's activities, George Bafo said it is high time modifications were made to the country's governance structure in order for true development to be experienced across the country. Now, the activities of the KMA have been in limbo for some time now after Assembly members believed to belong to the governing National Democratic Congress and the opposition New Patriotic Party took entrenched positions in a recent vote for a presiding member.
When you look at the election, the election as against the position of the presiding member, there's no way anybody can do anything apart from getting a member of the assembly elected as a presiding member of the assembly. And that is the only way out. But you see, I think that we need to look at the causes of some of these things. You see, the Constitution has put in place an arrangement under a decentralized system, which makes it non-partisan. If you look at Article 248, the intentions of the Constitution is very clear. It wants a non-partisan governance and development institution at the subnational level, which is the decentralized level, in order to dispassionately manage the affairs of development and governance to satisfy the host aspirations, expectations, and needs of the people. So that the acrimonious circumstances, underpinning governance at the national level in the context of partisanship is not repeated or maybe is brought to bear on the decentralized institution. That is the intention of the Constitution. The Constitution wants to give a decentralized institutions the free hand to be able to operate without let or hindrance from any executive authority or partisan authority. That is the intention of the Constitution. That is why it says that we should not do partisanship at that level. So if you don't want us to do partisanship at that level, why do you allow a partisan president to do the appointment? It's a misnomer in the context of the Constitution. But
would you recommend a change in this very system, probably a second look at the Constitution, these provisions in the Constitution specifically?
Yeah, exactly so. The Constitution Review Commission has even made recommendations. The Commission thought that because of the peculiar circumstances of the governance process in this country, we should start from a point. So all metropolitan chief executives must be elected directly through universal adult suffrage. Then a second tier of president nominating 5 persons for shortlisting by the Public Service Commission, and then 3 of them submitted to the district for election. Then the last one is to maintain the status. But as a strong advocate of decentralization and local governance, I think that the principle must be partisan district assemblies, direct election of everybody in the assembly, scrapping the principle of government appointment to the assemblies, and getting every MMDC elected through popular election on partisan basis, so that the person will derive his authority from the people through his party, and he's not able to deliver, the people will hold him accountable. And I think that it will enhance decentralization and good governance in this country.
Right.
And it will do away with this kind of situation that we have.
That was governance expert George Cheba for speaking earlier on News Desk. Now, seeking justice in Savelugu in the northern region of Ghana may be a far-fetched possibility. Well, unless, of course, you choose to resort to traditional priests rather than the country's judicial system. This is because the only court in the municipality has been closed down, forcing the residents to travel some 25 kilometers to Tamale just so they can attempt to secure justice. Martina Bugri has more.
Court house shows that it's been closed for a long time because you have dust and sand all over the place, so much cobwebs on the ceiling, an indication that it's been closed for long. I spoke to some people who are taking over the compound, food vendors, and then those who sell credit cards, and then some other people who are doing business on the compound. And all they could say was that it's been closed for a while. They don't know exactly when. So I met some of the residents. I spoke to them. I wanted to find out how it's affecting them as residents. I spoke with business owners as well. And what I gather is because they don't have a court in Savelugu, doing business, they find it very difficult. Having to travel to Tamale to have issues of litigation addressed is having a toll on them. Not only does it have a toll on businesses, the residents are also complaining that people would begin to lose trust in the judicial system. Instead of they always having their cases addressed by the judiciary, they would have to rely on traditional chiefs to settle their issues. Another issue that came up was that the police said it's difficult for them mobilizing resources, having to travel to Tamale each time they have cases, and sometimes they get to Tamale, they have closed, and so it's a big problem for them. I then visited the MC for the area, and he says that the information he gathered from court officials was that the court was down. They were not getting so many cases, and that was why they had closed. They were going to close it down, and it's been closed since then. That's what the MC told me, and he said that the court officials said their promotion, their well-being is dependent on how many cases they sit on, and once they were not getting cases to do that, it means that they're not growing in the profession, and that's why they wanted to move it and actually move it to
Okay, so let me situate this in a proper context. So the judge believes he's not growing in his profession. So because of that, he asked that that very court be closed down so he can move to a place where a lot more issues are referred to that very court, and then he can have some growth in his profession. Is that the case?
That's the case. That's from what the MC is saying. I've tried to get the judicial service in the region here to respond to the issue, but all to no avail.
Fisher folk at Ada Totope, a fishing community in the Greater Accra region, are appealing to government to build cold storage facilities for them. They complain they are forced to sell their bumper catch during good seasons at low prices, resulting in losses. Joseph Opogapo visited there and has come through with this report.
Ada Totope has a population of more than 3,000 persons. It is sandwiched between the sea and the Ada Lagoon. The water bodies remain residents' major sources of livelihood. The men here are mainly fishermen and the women fishmongers. Several communities in the Greater Accra region rely on fish from here for consumption. Yeho Ago is a fish processor here. She has 10 children. She has been in the business of smoking fish for the past 10 years. She complains majority of their catch usually goes bad because of the absence of storage facilities.
She's saying that if they get the fish in abundance, there is the glut. What you have to do is to keep the fish, and when there is scarcity, you go and sell and make profit. But because you don't have money, the capital is not there. When you get the fish, you go and sell it during that time, and because there is glut, and then you lose. But if they are able to keep it and there is scarcity, that time definitely the demand will be more. If government can come to their aid by building storage facilities for them.
Agwehi Obudai is another fish processor here. She has been in the business for more than 20 years. She says they will need financial support from government to expand their businesses.
The government must come to their aid. Then, if they can assist them with some loans so that they use that in the fish processing, and then that will help them get some money to send their children to school. They say that it's not profitable like before, and they don't even have money. They need this microfinance assistance. And it's just like you must get something to eat, so you go in to do something. That is all. But the work is bad.
The residents want government to construct cold storage facilities to help save them from the annual losses. For Joy News, Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, Ada Totope.
Oh, hey in the crowd, my name is Kwabena Chenchen Boys, and you're still watching News Today here on your Joy News channel on Multi TV. Time now for a break. When we come back, we'll bring you some business updates with John Kujamoko. Now, time for some business. And an economist and investment banker, Samson Aklego, has been exploring the issues of interest rates and its impact on attracting foreign investment here in Ghana. The central bank maintained the policy rate at 26% last Monday, as some investors consider it not impacting on the cost of business financing. In an interview with the Marketplace, Samson Aklego said high interest rates sometimes inure to the benefit of foreign investors.
The truth is that when investors are coming into Ghana, they actually, if it's, for example, portfolio investors, they are rather coming to benefit from the high interest rate environments. So you see investors coming in to buy treasury bills because rates is one of the highest in Africa. But again, they look at our currency risk, they look at our inflation, domestic inflation outturn, and they take that decision. So what happens is that if inflation is going up, the truth is that it has a relationship with currency. So if that relationship is not, the central bank doesn't influence it, the expectation is that future currency stability, currency depreciation is going to be enhanced. So if the central bank goes to reduce interest rates, the investors rather pull their money, because the economic eye is trying to tell the investors that these guys are not managing the economy well. So it is about economic relationships, it's about how these things work, and it's about how the central bank plays into that. See, remember, the central bank is just playing what is called a guided mechanism, trying to guide the market to ensure stability, to ensure that the market is not behaving in different directions. And that is key. And the confusion that I think has been plaguing us for a long time is that we are always comparing the level of interest rates with the decision of the MPC. If the MPC have to reduce interest rates, what we need to see is that the MPC can only reduce interest rates when the inflationary environment is benign. I mean, we see inflation is going to decline. The outlook is very favorable. When we see, for example, our fiscal and public debt space well contained, when we see a lot of structural development that support that, it will be very suicidal for us to say that the central bank has the hammer to strike interest rates down if the economic environments, some of which I've just mentioned, are not there. And I think that the conversation really is that if we want to have lower interest rates, the things that we need to do must be done in such a way that the outlook for some of the key indicators that go into taking the interest rate decision will support.
So that was Samson Aklegwa. Now, still staying on on currencies and the governor of Ghana on some other issues here. Governor of the central bank, Dr. Nashiri Shahaku, says the policy mix strategies being pursued by the central bank is working well for industries. Addressing the media at the 70th MPC presentation, the governor said the bank will continue to maintain a stable macroeconomic environment.
The AGI itself said that at the least we should maintain the policy stance. So it's consistent with what we say. They didn't say reduce it. And if there's stability and businesses are beginning to take up, you know what it means? I mean, we are doing something right. The policy mix that we are deploying now, it's working in some sense. But we are saying our primary responsibility is inflation. You know, and we also believe that when you have stable macroeconomic environment, it's an essential ingredient. Essential. Necessary, but not sufficient condition for economic growth. So in the short term, we are focusing on reducing inflation. And some pain, the pain is there, but we're just minimizing the pains so that the baby can grow and crawl and crawl and crawl. You know? And when when growth picks up significantly, you know, when it picks up significantly, you know, then we can begin to reduce rates at some point. When inflation, disinflation takes hold, then we can begin to reduce it at that point. Then
Dr. Ishahaku Nasiru, Central Bank Governor, there, ending the business edition, this midday edition of business. My name is John Kojo Amwako. Coming up next, it's your sports. But you can join me between 1:30 on your marketplace for more business stories. And that's how we wrap up on News Today this afternoon on your Joy News channel here on Multi TV. My name is Kwabena Chenchen Heneboate. Remember, there's a lot more news when you log on to www.myjoyonline.com. The marketplace is up next with John Kojo Amwako, but also we stay on because we also have our news analysis program, The Pulse, which will air at 3 p.m. on this very same channel. Many thanks for your company.